I'm only taking one step at a time towards healing myself. I had to get out, I found a way out. No more living in pain or misery. It's all about protecting my energy. Keep the negative away from me, because I am just keeping my peace. Cut off everything that no longer was serving me, and I chose to start loving myself. I walk in my purpose, no looking back, I'm only going within. B.O. standing there, a better version of me. I must say that I'm proud of me. It's not about how you feel, I'm living proof that God is real. So let me show you how to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, cause I came a long way. My journey isn't yet complete, that's what it look like to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, I'm proud of myself. It's nothing to it, you can do it, all you gotta do is just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul. Just fight through it. Creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, creative soul, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Pain to Purpose podcast, where we have open discussions to heal together as a community. Today, we're on talking about domestic violence. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and our special guest is Paige Seller. Welcome, Paige.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. What about you?
I'm good. I appreciate you coming on. I know that you have a busy schedule.
Yes.
I definitely believe that your story is going to help a lot of people, as it has already done so. But I know that it was going to help more people. And so I'm glad to have you on.
I'm grateful to be here on your platform, being able to tell my story.
Thank you. Can you give us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. My name is Paige. Well, my maiden name is Paige Pakerson. I go by my husband now, Paige, his last name, so Paige Samuel, Paige Parkerson, either one of those. I am a student right now trying to apply for the LVN program. I am a mother of 5. I am a wife. I love helping people, and most of all, I love the feedback I get from my story when a man or a woman reach out to me and tell me that my story helped save their life. I really feel like I'm making my impact in the world in a positive way. So I like to, from time to time feed the homeless people. Me and my kids and my husband. I just love being like a homemaker for the most part, but I'm starting to realize every time I tell my story, I'm realizing why my purpose on earth, why I'm here, what I'm meant to do.
And you definitely have a purpose. To our audience, I'm going to say trigger warning, trigger warning. The story that you are about to hear, okay, it may be a lot for some. Understand that we are covering this story because it's domestic violence awareness, and it's going to help people. Paige has told her story several times, and it has already helped people. Understand that this is not a joke. We really take this serious. And I want you to really pay attention to Paige's story. every detail. And if you're someone out there that is going through domestic violence, please pay attention to her story, every detail. And if you have questions or you need help or you need someone to help you, you can reach out to Paige, but you can also reach your local law enforcement. So we're going to get into this story, but I just want to let everybody know, trigger warning. Okay. I'm going to give you the floor, Paige, and let you start off with how you met your ex.
I met Clifton when we were 15 and 13. I was 13. He was 15. Um in the beginning, I didn't like him. I didn't like him. He just was very arrogant. I ain't like him at the time, but I had a thing for boys with hair when I was younger. So I think that's what attracted me to him. And one thing led to another, and he ended up being my first. When I speak on the term first, I'm pretty sure every woman around the world know what I mean. Like your first love, somebody that you really, cared about enough to give your body to. So he was my first. Um, Clifton came from a very sketchy background. I would say like that. Like his family was dysfunctional, but my family was dysfunctional. So we both came from like similar lives. We wasn't poor. We wasn't, but we like our parents made the best of what we had. I remember learning that he was given to his mother. I mean his grandmother when he was a child because his dad used to beat his mother. So his mother gave him away to his grandmother because every time she looked at him, she said it reminded her of his dad. So I'm guessing he used to watch that type of stuff when he was growing up. His dad beating his mom, so she
Mhm.
eventually gave him away to his grandmother.
Okay.
And which had a lot to do with his upbringing. His grandmother raised him. Um, I I live with my grandmother. My mom passed away when I was 7 from cirrhosis of the liver,
Oh,
and my grandmother, ma'am,
I just said I'm sorry that you lost
yeah.
your mom.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was 7 when she died. So when my mom died, I really didn't know what death was. And so her death didn't really have an impact in my life because I knew who she was and I remember certain things about her. But it's like it really didn't affect me versus when my grandmother died because I was a grown woman when my grandmother died. I was like in my, early
Better understanding.
yeah, better understanding of how I feel to grow up with a parent and lose one. So my grandma raised us and she did the best that she could. She was sick the whole time, but we never knew it because she carried it so well. But when I say she did the best she could, I'm saying like 1 month the gas will be off and then the lights will be on, and then another month the lights will be off, but the gas will be on. So I had to like warm up water in the microwave to like bathe myself, take care of myself, and eventually I had to do things in my childhood that people say I shouldn't have been doing, but I had to survive. So that came with a price. I didn't get to really have a childhood because I had to grow up. I had to be grown. So grandma did the best she could, but it still wasn't enough, which resulted in me dropping out of school in the 9th grade because I didn't have the necessities to go to school, like new clothes, new shoes, that type of stuff. And a couple of years ago, I wouldn't say this, but I feel like if I'm gonna be open about my story, I need to be transparent in every kind of way because I know somebody can relate.
Mhm.
So growing up like that, me and Clifton kind of clicked. So I remember seeing things that should have been red flags for me, but you young, you in love, you're not really, caring about, him fighting on his siblings or him being abusive towards, his cousins and stuff like that. I'm not really paying attention to none of that. So
Well,
it's
with
like,
the generational curse from his father.
uh, I believe so. I believe that because he's seen that his dad used to be his mom, there was a problem. Her, he just doing what he's seen, as children do, and also I feel like he had issues with his mom because she gave him away. And I feel like for him that was painful. Dust is part of the reason why I stayed with him, because I feel like I didn't want to abandon him like his mama did.
Mhm.
So I noticed that he was the black sheep of his family. Like his brother felt like he was better than him. She treated her the kids different from him. Um I didn't have a daddy. I didn't have a mama, so it's like we kind of built
Trump, Trump,
trauma going on. Yeah. So as time went by, my grandma got sick to the point where she couldn't take care of herself. And we had to go stay with my auntie, which was hard for me because I didn't know how to be separated from him. I didn't know, how to not see him. Fast forward, we still stayed in touch, but he was living his life and I was living mine. I left my auntie house. We ended up getting back in touch, but at the time I was staying with my best friend. So my best friend, my grandma continued to stay with my auntie, but I felt like I was being abused over there. So um I ended up leaving and going to stay with my best friend. At the time, my best friend mama did drugs. So I was around an environment where it was like starve or become a product of your environment. So I started to sell drugs. So where I was staying at, he stayed actually up the sidewalk with his brother. And so he was working at Crystal Burger. So we kind of got back in touch when I left my auntie house, but I was kind of like trying to grow up on my own, like trying to survive on my own. I really didn't want to, at that time, really didn't want to be tied down. I just wanted to, I was kind of stuck in that life where you got to get it how you live. So
And
I
how
was
old are you at this time?
Ooh, I was like maybe 15, 16. I was like, right up in there.
Okay.
So I learned how to sell crack. So me and my best friend, we sold drugs. We got on the block on Granny Maple. We sold Magnolia Maple. We sold drugs. Anywhere we could, we sold drugs. It was like where I was, it was like the drug dealers are post up in a yard, or you walk to the store, they standing on the corner. So I dove into that lifestyle because I'm like, this gonna bring me money and I need money. So okay, I'm gonna sell drugs. So I remember this dude coming up to me saying, "The block not nowhere for a woman to be. This not a woman thing. This not what you're supposed to do, or this not what you're supposed to be doing." So I got another hustle. I start messing with older men, and getting money out of them. So it's like one hustle led to another one, and that's why I feel more comfortable. I know I'm young, and I know these men know I'm young, but they spending money for my time. So I was kind of stuck in that life. I was kind of stuck in that life. So
Survival mode.
yeah, I was stuck in that life. So I remember when he got his first apartment, I decided to go move over there with him. But me and his mom didn't get along a lot. I feel like because she was like kind of jealous of me in a way, you know what I'm saying? Because she had a man that liked me, and I guess she just didn't like that about me. So it's like me and his mom used to bump heads a lot, and the apartment was like kind of in her name. So me and her used to get into it a lot. So eventually, me and him moved to Woodville with his grandmother, and so that's when things became like really, really bad, from bad to worse, actually. We moved to Woodville, and we stayed at his grandmother's house. Um, and he would be controlling, like, I remember the first time he put his hands on me, we were dropping one of his friends off, and his friend made a comment to him about how I looked or something. And when his friend got out the car, it's like he choked me, and then he pushed me back after he choked me, And he was like, you don't understand that this is a small town, so everybody's screwing everybody. So the minute they see something new, they feel like they want it. Don't come out the house with this on and that on and that on. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
So
But
so the friend had gotten out the car, but did the friend say anything when he put his hands on you? Or
his
he
friend
just
wasn't there. His friend had already got out the car.
got out and walked off?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So his friend didn't see it. So I started to understand. I wrote some notes down. Is that okay
Yeah.
to say? Because I sat back and I thought about why I accepted it, and I started to understand to accept domestic violence, you had to go through certain stages to be like, okay, I'm gonna deal with it. It's gonna be okay. So I had took some notes in my note book,
Mhm.
because and I sat there and really thought like, what made me sit there and accept it, and I started to understand.
You know, one thing that I listened to when you were telling your story was abandonment issues because you didn't have your father. I remember you.
Yes, that played a big role in my life because I didn't grow up with a father, and so I felt like the first time a man showed me love, that's how it was supposed to that's how a man was supposed to love me.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like because no a man wasn't around me to show me love, that's how my first experience with a man loving me was supposed to be. So that played a big role in the way I it played a big role in the way I accepted it, like my father, my mama died when I was 7, and my dad went to the penitentiary when I was 7. So my dad was gone for 16 years, and it's crazy how all of this about to tie up because I'm about to tell you what happened. So we moved to Woodville, and things got bad because that was the first time he put his hands on me. So we moved to Woodville, and it's like he started getting controlling. And at the time, his grandmother, she had a husband. He was an old man. And prior to their relationship, something that I didn't know was that they had infidelity issues in their relationship. So she was real insecure about having me, a younger woman, at the house. So anytime I would be outside and her husband would be alone with me, it would be it would be her thinking that it was something more than it was, but it wasn't, because I wasn't even looking at him like that. But because um they went through that part in their marriage, she felt like every woman he was around, that's what it was. And so that's what triggered um us having to get our own place. But like I was saying previous, like when he first put his hands on me, I had took some notes, and I named it, for me, this how it went in stages. It's called stages of accepting abuse. The first stage for me was shock. I was in disbelief.
Mhm.
And the second was I did nothing about it. So that mean I allowed it. And then the third thing I did was make excuses. I said maybe if I didn't do this or that, then he wouldn't do what he did. And then the fourth excuse was, who's the blame? So I'm sitting there thinking maybe I'm the blame. Maybe it was my fault. I'm not never blaming him. I'm trying to find reasons to understand why he did what he did.
Right.
And then the fifth was accept. Since I didn't walk away or I didn't do nothing about it, I accepted it. So there was the stages that I went through when I first like after thinking about my story for years, I understood that that's just how they went for me. Like that's
Mhm.
how I accepted abuse, and that's how it went. So for me, that's how it went for me. So I wonder if other women went through the same steps of accepting abuse. So with that, with his grandmother, that ended up making us go and get our own place. And it's like at the time I found out I was pregnant, so it was like it got worse because now we got our own place. We struggling. He working at Domino's in Woodville, but I had this downstairs neighbor named Miss Annie. I can't find her to this day. I don't know if she's alive or not, but it was my only like, because I'm from Beaumont and I don't know nobody in Woodville. That was like my only piece, like escape.
To talk to.
Yes, and she used to hear like us arguing, and at times he would put like the couch in front of the door, and it's just like it started getting worse and worse. So I remember we couldn't afford to live there anymore. His grandma didn't want me staying up with him, so we ended up moving back to Beaumont. He stayed with his mama, and I stayed with my play sister Kika. And I remember one day we got into an argument over the phone. He was at work. I was at my sister's house in Pima Village Apartments. So over the phone, he was like, "Yeah, if I get off of work and you this and you that, I'm gonna beat your butt." You know, I'm keep it real. Like he was, "I'm gonna beat your butt." So I was like, "Yeah, whatever." I hung the phone in his face. I remember my cousin Lorianne looking out her window because I was across the way at her house. And I remember my cousin Lorianne looking out the window, and she was like, "Paige, JR here." And he just went into Kika's house, and he came out with a whole bucket of clothes, and he dumped them in a trash can. So I'm big and pregnant, like 7.5 months. I go run outside. I'm like, JR, what is you doing? So I go upstairs to go try to tell Kika to lock her door. Kika didn't even know he came in because she was asleep. So as I'm walking down the stairs, he walking up the stairs. So he walking up the stairs, I'm walking down the stairs. So he like, "Now what you was saying over the phone?" So immediately he just started choking me. And then he was choking me so hard. As he was choking me, my body was leaning back over the rail. Now we probably like up a flight of stairs. He was choking me so hard, my back was leaning back, and then he flipped me. I flipped off the stairs, off the side of the, and landed on my stomach. I landed so hard, my baby like curled up to one side of my stomach. As if that wasn't enough, he picked me up off the ground, put me on the wall, and started choking me again. His stepdad used to be out there a lot, so he seen it, so he broke it up. So I called somebody started calling the laws or something, and he ran. But his mama ended up coming to meet me at the hospital. He came to the hospital still clowning. So it was like, okay.
So he wanted to fight even at the hospital.
Yes. So it came, took my phone, and it was crazy because like I be trying to remember all of this stuff, but it's like the bad stuff. Some of it I can remember like I'm living in it again, like I'm living so vividly, and I be mad at myself because it be like the stories be more detailed, and like I feel like years ago I just should have started writing stuff down because I be trying to remember stuff as much as I can, but it be like
it's a lot.
It's a lot, you know. So okay, got out the hospital. We ended up getting an apartment in Pima Village, and then this one it stepped up a little bit more. So we get our own apartment in Pima Village. You know, I know he abusive, but I'm like, every woman, feel like they can change a man. You can change them, just stay with them. So we have our firstborn. We have our first son. So, boom, we move into
So
our
hold right there. When you had your first child, was he there?
He was very present. He was let me tell you something. I can't take nothing away with JR when it comes to his kids. And I tell my kids this to this day. I can't take nothing away from him because he was a good dad. He was a great dad. Even when he used to put me out and beat on me, it was always you can go. My son ain't going nowhere. My kids ain't going nowhere. He was a great father. I give him that much. So it got worse because now the choking became frequent. The holding me in the house became frequent. It was just a lot. And on top of that, we were struggling because his mom was getting a first of the month check for him, but all along she was telling us that they turned it off. It wasn't until one day his stepdaddy said, "Yo, your mama sure been going to bingo a lot, Jr. You need to go up there and see if she's still getting your check." Come to find out, he went up there and that's what it was. So you got us in this apartment depending on you to do this and do that for us, and you've been holding this boy money the whole time, and we've been struggling with your grandchild. So that's why when I say they treated him like a black sheep of the family, she did stuff like that to him. So he found out he still was getting his check, and he went and got to put it in his name. But like I said, now the arguments, and because I want to go hang with my sisters, all of that is becoming frequent with him. So it's like a control thing at this point. You don't need to go nowhere, blah, blah, blah. So
well, abusers try to keep you away from people. They try to keep you isolated because
right.
if you get with somebody that may be stronger than you and help you through the process of leaving, then that's a problem. They have nobody to control anymore.
Right. So I remember one time I was I don't know what why we argued. We was arguing. And I have an older sister. Me and her, we don't talk right now, but I have an older sister from my mom. She had walked in on him choking me one day. And before I knew it, when he was choking me against the wall, because that's what this the big part of my story people don't remember. I didn't fight back for the first 6 years. I didn't fight back. I used to just sit there and take it. So I remember one night he was choking me against the wall, and I felt my sister. I heard my sister when he was choking me. I was trying not to pass out, so I heard my sister say, "Back the f up out for her, for I slice your effing neck." So when I looked up, she had him in a headlock with the knife against his throat, and he was backing up. And she told him, she said, "If you put your hands on my sister again, I will kill you." I don't know where she came from, but my door was unlocked. So there was one incident inside that house. The other one was, I remember his mama telling me a story one time. She was like, I remember them days, because we was talking about him beating on me. She was like, I remember them days, girl. I remember one time the white took me to the woods and he made me have sex with him. She said, girl, but then after that, he tried to beat me. She said, I took off running in the through the woods, Paige. I was butt naked. She said, I was all in front of the truck driver trying to flag people down because he was beating me butt naked. But fast forward to what he did to me. One day we was arguing, and I was just getting out the shower. I don't know why he got mad, but he was like, "You can get out. You can get out." And mind you, I just got out the shower. He was like, "No, give me that towel." Took the towel off of me, pushed me outside the door of the apartment complex. So mind you, it's dark, but I'm butt naked, like I'm naked, like birthday suit naked. Mm-hmm. So I'm knocking on the door like soft because I don't want to make a scene, because if I make a scene, then people gonna come outside and see that I'm out. Yeah, so I curl down in the corner like a position, like, and I'm holding my breast, and I'm just in, like, holding myself, knocking on the door saying, Gerard, please let me in. He must have left me out there like 30 minutes or more, just that's the type of stuff I went through with him. So we got evicted out of out of Pima Village. Boom. We get this house in the South End. Nah, well, we stayed at, it was on Port.
Through all this time, was the police ever called other than that?
I don't think I started calling the police on him until Porter Street. It was Porter Street. What that's when I started making my police trail on Porter Street. So we moved to this house on Porter Street because we get evicted from an apartment complex because him and his homeboy had a big old fight. So we moved to Porter Street. Well, we stayed at, it was like we was in back of a house. It was like a house in front of us, and we was in back of a house. I don't know how they went, but that's how the house was made. Whatever. It was good for us because we was like a small family, just me, him, and my son.
Mhm.
So I remember it was like the choking and the arguing, and that was frequent. But I remember one day he had put a gun to my head because I was like miserable. I was just like tired of like going through it. So I was like, I'm about to go. He had stole a gun from his grandfather. It was like a deuce. It was a small gun, but I don't care. At the time I didn't play with guns. I didn't, you know. So he had put a gun to my head. Taking the gun from him, and I remember throwing it in the grass, and he was trying to go look for the gun, and I ran away from the house barefooted. Now where we stayed at, it was the south end. So I walked barefooted from Porter Street all the way through downtown to the north end of Bowman, trying to get away from him. So I ended up going back. Then I remember one day we was at home. I was in a room. He was in the front room with his friend Mike. I don't know what Mike is, but he wanted to testify at the trial too, that he seen everything. So I remember one day we was arguing about something, and all of a sudden he just punched me like fist ball. This not no choking no more. He punched me. I was in shock, and he punched me like 3 more times. So I grabbed my face. That's when he put me on the bed. Then he bit my breast. I still got the bite mark to this day. Bit my breast, my face full of blood. Mike grabbed him off of me and told him like, nigga, you tripping. That's your baby mama. That's a female. You tripping. So he like, man, let's go. So they leave. So I go run to the neighbor house, full of blood. He like, look, I been hearing too much going on over here. You need to press charges on him. He was trying to make me press charges. The police tried to make me press charges. The ambulance tried to make me press charges. I would not press charges. I was like, that's the father of my child. I don't want to see him go to jail. Blah blah blah. So from there, now he hit me with his fist. So now it's worse, you know. So it wasn't uncommon for his mom and them to come over and see me like, you know, with a raw neck or a black eye, because they already knew where I got it from. You know what I'm saying? When like, oh, what happened to you? You know, but like I tell everybody, like I told his mama, I'm not gonna lie. She used to tell him, like, you doing that girl just like your daddy did me. You gotta stop that. You gonna end up hurting that girl real bad. She used to tell him, she used to tell him, but like he wasn't listening. Like he wasn't listening. We didn't have incidents where I was at her house, had to go run in her room because he was trying to beat me, and it just was a lot, and like I said, I took that for like 6 years. I remember we moved from Porter Street. Okay. We homeless again. So I can't go with you to your grandmother's house. So we sent our 1-year-old son to go live with his grandmother in Whitville while we sat on the block and sold crack all day. We used to hustle together. So it's like, I was like, once you put me in an apartment or a house, I was like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm about to be at home and be a mother to my child. He was like, all right, that's cool. Because I was missing my baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, we stayed homeless for about 3 months, living in a car on a block with the crackheads. So it's like, I was missing my child. And I knew that's not the life I wanted to live. So we finally got stable enough to get another apartment. Now we across the street from this school called Beeman Elementary. So like I said, it just kept getting worse and worse. So we across the street at this with these apartments called what's that called? My homegirl Lynette had gave it to me one time, but It was right across the street from this school. So we move over there. Now his cousin, she stay across the way. So I'm running to her house when he beat me up. She telling me to leave him. So his cousin stand across the way, and she like, you need to leave him. You need to leave him. Nah, this is family. You need to leave him. You need to leave him. You need to leave him. So I remember one night we went to Woodville. We was at a party. I never forget this. I never forget. We went to Woodville at a party on this place called the Hill out there. Cause this the country. So we at the party. Everybody at the party, all his people, we all at the party. He like, you acting stuck up, you don't want to dance. So I'm like, I don't want to dance because I know how you are. You know, like we ain't Woodville. Like if people start looking at me, then you got a problem. Then so I don't know. He like, stop acting stuck up and dance. So me and his sister start dancing to a song. Mm-hmm. This dude started throwing money on us or something, and he got mad. So the DJ was like, hey, none of that up in here. So we leave the party. I'm like, well, here you go. Here you go. So he like, you ain't have to dance like that at that party. All them niggas was looking at you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you told me to dance. I do what you tell me to do. You mad. I said, I can't please you neither way. And I remember this so vivid because I had this blue sweater. And it seemed like every time I wore this blue sweater, he used to fight on me the worst. So boom.
Was it a short halter with a tight?
No, it was just a blue sweater, like long sleeve, not showing no skin, no. Back in that time, it was like if you were, it was like that vest type of look, like you wore a shirt, you wore a vest with some little pants, like it was like with the big earrings that like we was like, I don't know. When I go back and look at fashion, I'll be like, what was I thinking, Lord? But I had a little I had a little shape on me, so anything looked good, So it was like, yeah, whatever. So the next morning we get home, he's still on this situation. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden he just hit me. He fighting on me in the kitchen. Blood everywhere. I can remember this fight because my 1-year-old at the time was trying to push him off of me. Move. All I remember is I seen a jack in the corner and I picked it up. I don't know. It was a big jack too. I don't even know how I got this strength. But like I picked it up and I swung it at him and he fell back and I took off running. I took off running. While I was running, he grabbed my foot, which made me fall. So I turned my other foot around and like I just kicked him in the face. So I ran down the stairs. I fell down the stairs just running. Now, mind you, my face full of blood. Where we stayed at, it was like a main street. Like everybody can see, it's a busy street. So I'm walking down the street, people looking at me crazy. I'm full of blood, busted, nose busted. He running behind me. I'm crying, saying, help, somebody help. This woman in this van, she like, baby, come on, baby, come on. Come get in the car, baby. Come on. So I jump in the car with her. He see me hop in the car with her. He turn around. The lady like, baby, she like, where you going? At the time, my grandma stayed like right up the street from us in her best friend Monica house. Aunt Monica, that's what I call her. And okay. The lady in the car, she saying, baby, let me tell you something. This ain't gonna get no better for you. This gonna get worse. She was like, you need to leave him alone. You young. You young. You can't be going through that. She said, y'all got a baby too? She said, no, ma'am. You gotta leave him. Now this lady, she's telling me this, but I'm hearing her, but it's like, I'm just like, this can't get no worse. So I remember she dropped me to my grandmother's house, and I really hate this part because it just do something to me. I went to my grandmother's house and I walked in her room, and you would have thought she would have been like, when she looked at me, you thought she would have had like a, oh my God, what happened to you? But like I walked in the room, she looked at me, and she looked back at the TV, and I went and sat down by her bed, and I was crying, face face still full of blood, and my grandma had a hole in her throat, but we had seen her lip talk for so long, it's kind of like we just knew what she was gonna say. So I see my grandma looking at me from like the side of my eye, and she saying, "Your mama rolling over in her grave, knowing you let a nigga beat your ass." So I just started shaking my head, just made me cry even more. She got off the bed. My grandma was a little skinny, dark woman, strong. Like strong. The definition of a strong woman. My grandma was that. And she put me in front of that mirror, and she say, "Look at your face." She said it again. She said, "Your mama rolling over in the grave knowing you let a nigga beat your A." She was like, "Your mama was the one whooping on men. Your mama rolling over in her grave knowing you going through this." And she looked at me and she said, "I know you're not gonna leave him because you love him." She said, "But I know you gotta walk this out yourself because we didn't all been there before." She said, "But next time he put his MF and hands on you," she said, "you pick up something around you and you defend yourself. I don't care if he got a black eye. You got a black eye, he better have a black eye. If you got a busted lip, he better have a busted lip." She was like, "I know you're not gonna leave because you're not ready." She said, "And I know you're gonna go back because we gotta walk this out on our own." She said, "But let this be the last day you let him beat you like that." And I took that and I ran with it. So I stayed at my grandma's house that night because I had to like really get my head together. I had to really like, talk to myself because I knew I could give a female a run for their money on some fighting stuff. But like this was a man, so this was different. So I knew I wasn't gonna win, but I could try. Mind you, I'm telling you, I did not fight back for years. This had been going on for years and years. So I remember walking in the house the next day, and I guess this what did it for me too. I remember walking in the house the next day. His friend Brian stayed next door. So I remember walking in the house and I heard him laughing, telling his friend, "Yeah, I think I really effed her up." He laughing though, her face messed up. I bust her eye. So this a game to you. Like you enjoy beating me. Like so I listened to them talk about it, but when I walked in the house, he kind of looked at me. And then I kind of looked at him and I just went in the room and closed the door. And I told myself, okay, well, it's a joke. So the next time, ma'am,
Where was your child at?
he was in a room. He was asleep. He was asleep. So I remember the next time he put his hands on me, his sister was there and his friend was there. And mind you, this happened 2 weeks ago. So I vowed to myself that I wasn't taking this no more. I'm going to fight back this time. So I was walking in from church and he didn't like something that I said. And he called himself coming and slapped me so hard I flew to the wall. But he wasn't expecting me to get back up and start fighting with him. So we fought so hard, we ended up in the room. And we fought so hard. I'm talking about you can hear pictures shattering off the wall, like hitting the ground. And we were fighting so much because I would not stop. I would not stop. I was like I've been taking this too long. I would not stop. I'm fighting back now. I'm giving you what you want. So I remember him being out of breath. We was out of breath. And I still wouldn't stop. I didn't care because I remember what my grandmother told me. So that was the day I started fighting back. And when we came out that room, we both was bloody. Because remember, that's what grandma said. So we
You
both was
ever seen
bloody.
the Turner movie?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. We both was bloody. That was it. I was done taking it. And so I started fighting back. So we started fighting. And when he started saying like I'ma fight back, it made him even madder. Like, she fighting now. So it kept getting worse and worse on Porter Street. Not on Porter Street, but in them apartments. And not to mention he had licks pulling up to our house, knocking at our door all times of the night. I had moved from there. I moved to Maida, Northridge Manor. And I moved to Northridge Manor. He had caught a case to where the feds came, kicked down my door. We got evicted. He was facing an indictment case. So we went to go see a lawyer. This was like maybe a couple of months before he died. I want to say maybe 2 months before he died. We went to go see a lawyer, a court-appointed lawyer for his case. Now, mind you, he don't really know how to talk to people, so I'm talking to the man for him. So, talking to the man for him, and he like, okay, we're going to see what we can do. Fast forward, we get evicted out of Maida. We back homeless again. I'm back staying with my sister. He back staying with his people. Boom. We end up getting a house on Pope Street. This is what is the situation occurred. We get to this house, and it's still going on. But now it's to the point where he's staying out all night, hustling on the block or whatever he doing. I don't care. Just as long as you're away from me, it's peaceful. So I had to start doing like, I was already like drinking, but like, it's like I used to drink more just to escape the beatings, So, like, mind you, my mama died from cirrhosis of the liver. So I already knew this was a generational curse for me to fight anyway. But it's like the abuse made me like literally, for me, alcohol used to numb me and take me to a place like where I couldn't feel. So and I used to drink because I was so depressed. You know what I'm saying? I was just so depressed. I was just drawing myself in alcohol. So we moved over here to Pope Street. The beating still started, and we still fought. I was just getting so tired of that lifestyle. And I remember praying to God, and I was like, God, just take him out of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, just take him out of my life. I don't want to love him no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hurt no more. Just take him out of my life. Me not knowing that when you talk to God, you got to be specific about what you say to that man, because God way of thinking, it ain't nothing like ours. And I wish somebody would have told me that, but I found that out in jail. So it's like, I was saying, God, I don't want to hurt no more. God, I'm so tired of living like this. I don't want to deal with this no more. Take this man out of my life. Just take him out of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, not I wasn't even wishing death on him. I wasn't wishing nothing like that on him. I could never wish or think to kill or hurt somebody intentionally. Like, I could never do that. So it was like, I remember the day. I remember the parts leading up to the day he died. And at the time, JR had started smoking this fake weed. We call it woo in Bowman. I don't know what other cities call it, but we call it woo because it's like synthetic weed. And when he started smoking it and mixing regular weed, it's like he started deteriorating, if that makes sense. So like his anger wasn't normal anymore. It was like explosive, So it's like, I feel like they played a part in his anger too. So I remember the night before Mother's Day, I had threw a party for all the mothers in my life, like everybody, his mama, his cousins. I had got my sisters, my cousins. like I had got a, a a cake with all of their names on it. We had like a glow in the dark neon party. Like people still got these pictures on their Facebook page. We had a glow in the dark neon party. All the girls came over before the party started. We all got dressed in my room. Like we was just like, yeah, we're gonna have this party. Like, we did a shrimp ball. We had this light that made your clothes glow in the dark. It was really cool. Everybody was vibing. Everybody was having a good time. So that night he went out to go hustle. He didn't come home the next day. Him and his cousin didn't come home. I'll come in until like 6, 7, 8, something around that time, as much as I can remember. I tell this story as much as I can remember. So I remember when they did come in and like the sun was kind of coming up. So I figured it was about that time. He had stayed out hustling all night. Like I said, no problem. Stay out. I don't got to deal with it. At this point, I was really only with him for my kids. I wasn't really romantically in love with him, or, it was like I started to like resent the relationship,
You were
and
over.
like I was over it. I didn't hate him. I was just over it. I just wanted to, you know. So I remember he came in the house that morning, he took a shower, and we made love. And it was something about this that I should have knew something went right. We laid down and he said, Paige, you love me? And I paused. I hesitated. And I said, yeah. I said, I love you with all my heart. I don't never say that. And the way I said it, it felt like I was saying it like for the final time. I don't know why. It just felt like that, but it felt like that. And I remember thinking about it for a second. Then we just drifted off and went to sleep. I hear a knock at the door. It's my best friend, mama, but I call her mama. Mm-hmm. So she like, Paige, you ready? I'm like, yeah, we went to church. I remember the pastor was like giving a sermon about a mother's makeover. I had won a prize at church and everything. We went back to mama house. Remember the one I told you, she smoking, we went back to her house. That's why I say everybody met up over there. So we went back to her house. That was like, let's go back to your house and redo the shrimp boil. I don't know. We had a thing with seafood boils. Down here in Texas, we love seafood. So me and my sister Rhodey, we put, because her baby daddy and my baby daddy used to hustle on the same block together. So they used to hang out together. So we fixed them a plate and we put it in the microwave. Now, my sister was telling me something about she didn't want to go home because she was scared of her baby daddy because she was in an abusive relationship too. So we all like telling her, be careful, you know what I'm saying? Not knowing people need to tell me that. So everybody love. I think I cleaned up the kitchen, and I think I cleaned up the kitchen. I got the kids ready for bed. I put Carvel in the bed with me because he was still a new baby. Demarion, I put him in his bed. He had his own room. So I remember this Lifetime movie was about to come on. That's when Lifetime was it back then. And it was about these girls prostituting or something. I really wanted to see the movie because they had been giving like little scenes from it all week. So I was ready. I was going to watch that movie. So I ended up taking a shower. And then I ended up falling asleep. I fell asleep watching a movie. So they let you know I didn't have no ill intent on my mind. I wasn't, to me, okay, it's Mother's Day over with. Yeah, I'm upset, but I'm not angry. So I go to sleep. So I wake up because I hear him and his mama them come through the door. I hear him say something like, Mama, you gonna go take me to go hit this lick? She like, JR, come on. So they left again. He locked the door. I went back to sleep. I wake up again.
So
He
wait,
come,
his mother was into this stuff too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
I'm gonna say allegedly for me, but I know that you know it.
yeah. Half the family sold drugs, yeah. And she was an ex crackhead too. So her husband sold drugs. So everybody was in an environment of that life, you know. And that's when crack was hot. So it was like it was going. So I remember him coming in and I was asleep. And how I woke up was because I heard like um he put something on side of me and then he kissed me on my head and said Happy Mother's Day and he just walked away. But it's I look at it and I'm looking at him like some flowers. So I'm like, man. So his mama and his cousins all walk in my room. Now, mind you, I think I got a shirt on and some pajama pants. I don't really remember. I don't know. So it's like I'm asleep, but they walk in my room after he come bring me the flowers. So his mama was like, "You like your present?" So I think I handed it to her. Somebody said, "I don't want that." She did something with the flowers. I don't know what she did. So she like, I'm like, Mother's Day over with. I don't want that. Nah, let me clean this up right quick. Because a lot of people be like, she ungrateful. No, it wasn't that. Like my lawyer said, it's not unusual to be with somebody and they forget a special day like your anniversary, like your Christmas present, like your Valentine's present. That's normal in relationships. But that don't mean I was so mad to the point where I want to, oh, you bought me flowers, I'm gonna kill you. Like it's late. It came like, oh, you gotta die. No, I was asleep. Why is it not okay for me to be upset because the present wasn't on time? That's not me being ungrateful. It's not I'm mad, but I'll get over it. Eventually I'm gonna accept these flowers and we're gonna go to sleep and it's gonna be okay the next day. But it's not to the point where I gotta take you out. It's over with. You bought me some flowers and that's it. It's over. So that's what made the story so viral because they ran with that narrative. Like I wanted them a better Mother's Day presents. I was okay with flowers, but
When
it's
I
like
did some research on it, and they called you the Mother's Day murderer.
mm-hmm. Yeah, they
I
did.
want you to tell our audience how that came about.
The
Okay.
thing was, I was upset because the gift came late, but he was more so upset because I did not accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So that triggered him. And how the whole incident happened was because the fact that I didn't want to accept the gift made him mad. So if eventually that's what made him put his hands on me. And I also want to say this. This is public information. You can go look all of this up. You can go look at my testimony at trial. You can go look it all up. Do as you please. It's public information. But how I like to explain it in a short version is it was a fight gone terribly wrong. And all in all, like I said, the reason why it occurred was because he put his hands on me and I defended myself. So that's why it resulted in him dying because I was trying to protect myself. I was trying to defend myself. I was trying to leave and he ambushed me. And I really that if you know JR, that's how he is. Like he wasn't about to like he was like the person in the relationship was like he won't let go. He wouldn't let go. He wouldn't let me leave. He wouldn't let me be. Like it just into this day, I'm like that now in my current marriage. Like my husband, he know I don't like to be backed up in a corner. Like don't back me up in a corner because that triggers me. Like it reminds me of what I went through in that relationship. So when me and my husband having a dispute, it's like don't put me in a corner. Don't do that. Argue with me from over there. Don't do that to me because that triggers me. And so like I tell people all the time, like to put it in plain, it's like it's like for people to say I killed that man over flowers in a car or however they said or however they did it. The reason why it came about was because when his sister, when she got on the news, she said that he bought me flowers in a car, and there wasn't enough for me. So people took off with that narrative for 11 years. I never cleaned it up. I never said nothing. For 11 years, I kept that inside of me. I didn't care to tell my part of it. I didn't want, because first of all, the first reason why I didn't want to talk was because I felt like for the family, it was hurtful for them, and it was disrespectful for them. But the whole 11 years that I held this inside, I was damaging my mental, my emotional. I wasn't right in friendships. I wasn't right in relationships. I didn't know me, and I didn't know why I was the way I was for so long. But that's because I was not healed from this situation.
So the night that it happened, can you tell our audience um, what happened? After he came in the room and you guys got in an argument and you tried to get away.
Well, and I can remember his mom and them being in the room, and she had the flowers. She did something with them. But while I'm talking to his mom and them, he yelling from the front room, you ungrateful be this. Why his mom and them though? You ungrateful be this, you ungrateful, you don't appreciate nothing, you ungrateful be this and that. So I can remember his mama left. She was like, well, y'all work it out, y'all be okay. I was like, I'm gonna be all right. I'm going to sleep. She got up. I mean, they left. I think he locked the door or something. And I heard another knock at the door. It was my brother Jacob, and he came over because he was trying to borrow a gun from JR or something. And he was like, because my sister Kika, like I said, she was scared to go home because one of her baby daddies, I can't remember who it was trying to fight on her. She was scared to go home. And JR told Jacob, I remember him hearing them talk from the front room. I remember JR telling Jacob he don't have a gun or something like that. I don't really remember like every word that was said. And Jacob came in the room and was like, I'm gonna take some cake and I'm gonna take some of the boiled eggs that's left over from the shrimp boil. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he got up, he was like, come lock the door. So as I'm getting up, locking the door, trying to lock the door, that's when he started the argument from me standing at the door. And then all I remember is him walking up to me, smashing my head into the door, and it went from there. That was it. Like it went from there. And most of everything, I guess, because for so long I pressed that part of my mind so far back in my mind. You know, it's like everything is pretty much like it's a blur, but I can remember me feeling like it was like an out of body experience. Like you can see you doing something, but it's like you're not really doing it, but you can see yourself doing it. And like it just felt like a dream. It just felt like a dream. It just, in so many words, that's what it felt like. But that's how the argument started. That's how the fight started, because I can remember him slamming my head into the door like real hard, like, and it went from there.
And what was it that you used to protect yourself?
I believe it was like one of his, I think it was like one of his knives that was on the kitchen. And I think it was one of his knives that he cut his dope up with. I don't really remember if it was, So I can't even remember. From what I heard, they say I only stabbed him twice. And it's like, what? And I'm like, well, I understand the manner he passed away, but it was like, y'all made it seem like I just butchered this man. I just butchered him. And like, The only reason why I know that how many times they said I stabbed him was because me and his stepmama, me and his dad's girlfriend, we
Mhm.
were still talking, and she was like she was like his dad was okay until he got the autopsy report. And after he got the autopsy report, he said that's what when he broke down, because he was like, what happened was he was stabbed in one of his main arteries, which was called a jugular vein.
So who was it that called the police that night?
I did. I did.
And then
I,
after you called the police, who did you call? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I
I
just
read it.
remember. I just remember like sitting on the porch, and I remember rocking, and I remember people pulling up, and I remember the officer pulling up, and I was just on the porch rocking, and like what the main thing that stick out to me about that night is I smelled the smell of death and blood, and it's like I could never forget that smell because it was like everywhere. Like it was like a smell that you don't know, but if you smell it, you do know. And I can remember just being in a daze, just rocking when the police pulled up. That's all I
So when you stabbed him, you knew then he was gone.
no, no,
Yet.
no. I was not sure. I was not sure until the detective told me what he was charging me for. And I felt like I didn't have a reason to lie. Like I said, it just felt like a dream when the detective was talking to me. I was like, I didn't really feel like I had a reason to lie. So I told the truth as much as I could. And it's like they still booked me for murder. And it was like there was all of that, all of that. It was like it still wasn't a real thing. Like maybe I'm dreaming and I'm a wake up. Maybe
You were in shock.
I believe that's what it was because I didn't come to until the next day I was in jail. Like everything just settled in and hit me, and I went crazy in jail. I went crazy. I didn't know that I was really living this. Like anybody that was locked up with me could testify to this. When I came to, I went crazy. I went crazy because I kept hearing it on the news, but I was in such a daze. I was like, I was in a daze. I was like, I don't even remember going to sleep that night. I just remember being stuck.
So who had your child when you went to prison?
I didn't go to prison. I went to county. It was like a,
Okay.
a local jail. Um, they said that my father-in-law drove down here from Whitville and took my kids.
Okay.
That's what they said on the news. That's how I knew my kids was with them from the news.
Okay. And when you came to, or when you realized what had really happened, because I watched a video and you said that you were screaming, and a lady was nice enough to grab you and take you to the side and get you to come to. When
Yeah.
did you when did you call your family?
When you first go to county, after they book you in and change you out, they give you a phone call. And I can remember while I was making a phone call, I don't know who I called. I don't remember. I don't remember who I called.
Did any of the people that witnessed this over the years witness him abusing you? And with the paper trail, did any of them tell the police, I've been there when she's been abused before?
No, no. Like when I tell you the whole family turned against me, um, for a while after I got out, me and his cousin was cordial, and I don't know what happened with that, but it's like nobody stepped up for me. Like nobody like said nothing. Like, and I didn't know that I wasn't even supposed to talk to like I didn't even know that I wasn't supposed to. I didn't know that I was supposed to be Miranda rights or Miranda's. It's a lot of stuff that happened that I didn't really think about being in the days of it all. Cause I like, I'm just talking because I want to tell the truth. I want to tell I want to tell like what I remember or what happened in my view. And it's a lot of stuff that I go back and think about, and I be like, that wasn't supposed to go like that. So nobody stood up for me, took up for me, said that she had a right to defend herself because of what she went through. So when I went to trial, I had to fight for my life. Like literally put everything on the table. Like everything. I had to put it on the table.
And how long did it take before you went to trial?
4 years and 4 days. 4 years and 4 days.
What was it like being in there?
It's like you see this on TV, but then it's like you really can't believe you doing this. Like you picking jurors out, and it's like it's not it was like, again, it still didn't feel real to me. It's like I'm looking at these people, I'm looking at this district attorney, I'm looking at this lawyer, and I'm looking around and I'm like, this is real. It's real. So I feel like I was in the final days of my freedom. That's what I feel like. Because for a long time, I used to envy people just walking past me. And I used to be like, they so blessed because they don't have to think about going to jail for the rest of their life or going to jail for a bunch of years or, like literally when I tell you my back was against the wall, like, and it was scary for me because I'm from a small town in Bowman, and you don't get off on them type of charges. You know what I'm saying? I don't know nobody. At the time, I knew of one person, but I didn't know her, and I didn't know how her situation allowed her to be free. But I was like, this is me, this is my situation. So I remember, like the day before my trial, I stayed with my kids because I was like, if I'm gonna go tomorrow, then I'm gonna stay with my kids. And I remember staying up all that night crying. It's scary. It's really scary because you talk about faith. You talk about having faith in God. There was a lot of faith for me because at the time I had Carville and Demarion and I had KJ. And I was like, God, I was like, God, if you spare me, I'll go tell people what you did for me. I'll go tell people what you did for me. I was like, I can't depend on nobody but you. Because it's like money couldn't save me. People couldn't save me. It was like, it was real. It was real for me because it was like, these people got my life in their hands. And I remember the last recess before they came back with a verdict. I remember leaving out the courtroom and I just broke down. I just broke down. I broke down. And people caught me. And I was just crying. I was just crying. Because in trial, it's an up and down thing. One day it look good for you, the next day it look bad. And so one day you like, okay, it's gonna be okay. And then the next day is like, I'm going to jail, because it's the district attorney job to make you look like a bad person. So I was living through some stuff I watched on TV, and I was like, how did it come to this point in my life? And I was like, God, I'm only 20 something years old. And I couldn't believe, like, out of everybody in the world, like, me. So that was hard for me. I think that was like the hardest thing in my life, like, ever. Like, and after that, I feel like I can face anything, but that was like the hardest for me ever. Like these people was praying for me to go to jail, like praying, like it wasn't nobody but God.
What was the resources that you used to help you get through?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What was the resources that you had to help you get through? Like when you got
Nobody, because I didn't want to talk to people, because people would be like, I understand how you feel. No, you don't. You is not walking in my shoes. Don't tell me that. You is not facing all of this time if you get caught guilty. I didn't have a mama. And it's like, and to this day, I'm understanding that I have mommy issues too, because even the women that come in my life, they're supposed to be like mother figures, like my auntie, she let me down so many times. My mom, my stepmama, we didn't have our ins and outs, and she says she loved me like her child, but I don't feel it. So I didn't have nobody. I have nobody.
At what point did you start seeing a counselor?
When I was when I was incarcerated, and when I was out, I was on I was on psych medication and everything.
And how does your children feel since this happened?
I feel like that was the most second hardest thing I had to do with this situation, because I had to sit down with them and tell them why their father wasn't here. And I didn't know how I was gonna do that when the time came, because when this happened, they were so young, and we tried to like keep this from them for a long time. But when they got older, they started asking questions. So me and my auntie and my uncle decided that once they got to a point where they could understand self-defense, domestic violence, and murder and that type of stuff, those type of vocabularies, that it was time for them to know the story. So I went back and forth about how I was gonna do that, and I didn't know if my children was gonna hate me or if they was gonna love me. And I remember talking to a friend, and he was like, if I was you, I sit down with them and I watch a movie and make sure it's a abusive movie so they can see. So while they watching the movie, ask them questions, ask them how they feel about certain things that's playing in the movie. And then he said, like, when it's over with, ask them how they feel about the movie, and then tell them that that's what happened with you and their father, and then go from there. Because he was like, you want them to know from you, because the world gonna have a lot to say, but you gonna want them to know from you.
So mentally, how are you now?
I feel like mentally I'm mad at myself because I took so long tell my story, and it damaged me in a lot of ways because I wasn't healing. I was holding on to so much hurt and pain. I wasn't healing. So I wish I would have started speaking more, because it's like the more I tell my story, the better I start to feel about myself, and the more I start to understand that this wasn't just about me. It was about the multitude of people, men and women, and whoever dealt with abuse that I had to save. So God started making me understand the whole time it wasn't about me. It was bigger than me.
People don't understand. I don't think some people understand why I do what I do. I started this podcast because a lot of people live in silence and they're judged by family and friends. They're judged by outsiders when you don't know what went on in that person's life, from childhood, adulthood, in life itself. And I wanted people to have a safe space to talk about the pain and what drove them to their purpose to help other people. Because I feel like sometimes when we're going through things, if you had that person to like encourage you or be like, it's going to be okay, or, you're not by yourself, sometimes that kind of helps. And even wanting to give up on life, I said, if I could save one person by my platform, my job is done, regardless if people agree with what I'm doing or not.
Yeah.
I have been in situations where family have been abused. I've been in a home. I've had friends that have been abused. I've been in the home where one of my friends was literally being abused in the next room. I'm talking door closed, he getting beat. And so when I hear stories like this, it is hard. But I know that I started this for a reason. And I watched the video when you talked about how you tried your best to respect everybody and to not tell certain parts of the story and to respect the family, and you didn't want to talk about it around Mother's Day. I watched all that. And I think regardless, like no matter what, when you tell the story, how you tell the story, when it comes to domestic violence, whether it's a family member or somebody outside the family, you're going to always have somebody to judge you. You're going to always have somebody that don't believe your story, but you and God know what really happened. And as they say on social media, sometimes things play out in 4K, meaning it's happening now. And sometimes people literally, they show their own colors. And so I'm going to say that you are very brave to even get on these platforms and to even tell this story. I know that it's hard for you and people don't understand because they haven't been through it. But I pray that you continue to tell your story and to help other people, because I listened to you even before the interview, and how people was reaching out to you, and even men wanting to do better by their women. And I think that we need a lot more people like that, to not be afraid and to open up and to not live in silence anymore and to get through their healing so they can help somebody else. So I pray that you continue to tell your story the way God allows you to tell your story.
Thank you. And I try my best. And like I tell everybody, any show or any podcast I've been on, it's always a different it's a different way I tell it, and it's a different emotion that come out in different parts, because it be like on certain podcasts I don't get the same questions, and it's like in some parts I'll be like, oh, I forgot about that, or I'll be like, dang, I remember I was feeling like that, and it bring out different emotions, and it be like every time I get on a different podcast, it's like I'm closer to healing more. I'm closer to being where I need to be. And it's like when a family try to tell me, like they try to silence me, be like, how dare y'all tell me to stay quiet, and I respected y'all for 11 years. I'm not shutting up no more. This is for my healing. This is for people's healing. Like once I got that in my head, I was like, nothing gonna silence me no more. I'm not being silent no more. I'm not doing it no more, because I noticed that it wasn't just about me. And it's like, y'all want me to stay quiet. Oh, he dead. Respect him. Oh, he dead. He can't tell his part. Well, y'all tell his part for him. And maybe y'all can heal, but y'all not about to silence me like y'all did for 11 years. That was 11 years too long. So it's like, let me heal the way I need to heal. And I pray for them still. I mean, it's not a video of a podcast I do with his sisters. They don't come harassing me. They come harassing me all the time. And I'm like, I am praying for y'all. But when y'all see me, it's like y'all don't never have nothing to say to me. Like we can talk, we can have a decent conversation, because y'all have a lot to say under my videos, but it's like when y'all see me, it's never nothing said. So it's like, even when I went on the Tasha K show, she was like, if they want to come tell their story, by all means, let them know that they can come. I'm fine with that. I'm not going to say, oh, that's not how that went, because eventually the truth going to resurface. I don't care about none of that. So it's like, I know why I'm doing this. So anything else like negative behind it, I get a lot of negative comments. I get a lot of people doing the most, but it's like, the difference is 11 years ago, they would have broke me down. Y'all already nailed me to the cross. But now it be like, okay, that's how you feel. So I'm okay with it.
And I know that you're married now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does your husband feel about this? And did he know when you guys first got together?
It's crazy because my husband and me met by my play sister and her son. And the thing is, when I first met him and we first started talking, they had already told him. But I ended up telling him later, and he was like, he had already knew. So when I first decided 2 years ago that I wanted to tell my story, he was like, okay. But I'm so like, I'm a private person, but I'm not. I'm just a person. I'm a private person, but I'm a personal person. Meaning, I'm not one of them people that post a lot on social media. I'm very much, and that's another thing people don't know. Me coming out telling my story on social media was a big deal for me, because I'm such a personal person. Like I don't let the world into my world, because people go by this facade on social media, like they try to perceive themselves to be more than what they are, or they try to keep up with everybody else. I'm a type of person where I live in my own little world, in my own little bubble, and if I let you in, you're very special, because I don't believe in like social media and all of the other stuff, because I'm big on energy, and I'm big on what I let inside of my energy. So when I first started telling my story, I was telling my husband, well, it's gonna come with people knowing you and going to my profile, seeing who you are. And even one of his sisters sent him a friend request. One of his JR sister's son, my husband, a friend request. That's how much they be trolling me. So my husband, like, as long as you happy and he see all the doors that go opening for me with this story. Like I told you, I got an interview in New York later on this month. So it's like he see all the doors going opening for me. He remember when I said 2 years ago I wanted the story. So it's like he's very supportive of me. And like the other day he was at work and the girl was like, oh, you Paige husband? And he was like, yeah. He was like, we seen her on the Tasha K show. And my husband was like, yeah. They asked him how he felt, and he was like, I support her 100%. So he know what this come with, but he know his wife. I'm very, very, very built. So it's like I'm tough as nails, and he know I don't just I'm not like a weakling. He know I'm a very dominant woman. So he know I know if push come to shove, I can handle it. I wouldn't have stepped in the light if I feel like I couldn't. And God mostly knew I could. So I told God, if this is something he wanted me to do, then get me ready for it.
So, is there anything that you would like to leave with our viewers before we close out?
It's so much that I want to leave with them. But the most thing I want to say, first off, don't be silent. I know a lot of people feel like they don't come forward with domestic violence because it's embarrassing. You not ready to leave. You scared. You dependent on your spouse, or whatever the case may be, whatever situation you in. I don't want you to stay in your silence. I want you, if you're in an abusive relationship where you know it can end violent, to start planning and making your way out of it safely. Safely start making your way out. If you got to put money to the side, if you got to set up clothes at places, start planning your way to get out, because you can end up like me, and or you can end up the other way. So it's like, especially if you got kids, think about, if you're not happy mentally and emotionally, what good are you for your kids? If you're not happy at all, what good are you for your kids? Being in a domestic violence relationship is very miserable, and you're just letting time go by, just sitting inside of it. And it's like, I know it's hard. It's easier said than done, because people used to talk to me until I was blue in the face, but I went back to that man multiple times until this occurred. I hate that it had to end like this. I really, 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 really wish that JR could have been alive so that we can co-parent in peace, and he lived his life and I live mine. But I just want y'all to know that you are not alone, and get the help that you need to move forward. And if you don't take anything from today, just say, don't end up like me. Don't end up fighting for your life or worse, because you refuse to get out. So get out while you can. That's all I have to say.
What's next for you?
Oh, Lord. I am a woman that wear multiple hats. So it's like, right now I'm working on finishing my book, part one of it.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, it's gonna be a series. So it's gonna be a series. I wanted to drop it for October, but it's like stuff just been hit me back to back, back to back. And I'm not complaining. I just asked God to give me the strength for all the doors he opening for me. So before the year is out, I'm dropping my part one to my book. I'm going to do a photo shoot for that, and I'm also going to do a book release party. And the people I'm going through, I'm praying that it end up on all platforms. Also, I am trying to finish nursing school, and that's been kind of a challenge. I'm also trying to start a second job. So I just want to spend the rest of this year, spread my message, bringing light, love, and peace through the world. I just want to make an impact on this world in a positive way. I don't want to be, doing what everybody else doing with their life. I mean, it's cool if you blessed with the talent to rap, sing, or twerk, or do what you do. But I feel like in this day and age, you get praised more for the negative than you do the positive. So I'm just trying to learn how to stay in my lane and make my positive impact to the point where I can help others doing a different thing that can really matter to this world. Because when it's all said and done, I don't want my time on this earth to be wasted. I don't want to leave here knowing that I had a gift or I had a story that somebody needed to hear and I didn't help them. So I just want to make a positive impact on this world.
Let them know where they can reach you on social media, and also the nonprofit that you're working on.
My social medias are Paige Pakerson at YouTube, The Blessing, THE_blessing page at Instagram. My TikTok is 7Paige11. My Facebook is Paige Parkerson. My email is parkersonpage@gmail.com. Feel free to reach me on any of those apps if you want to talk, if you want to listen in ear. I'm always answering comments. I'm always answering emails. I'm always responsive when it comes to people, especially the ones in domestic violence. I have a nonprofit organization that I want to work on. It's on as it grow. I'm going to add to it. It's gonna be for homeless people, and then it's gonna be for feet in Southeast Texas. So, it's called About My Father's Business. So, if you're inquiring about that, please reach out to me, inquiring about that. Other than that, those are the platforms and ways you can reach me.
Well, I want to say thank you again for coming on. I was literally just scrolling through one day and the video popped up, and it was something about that video, and I continued to look at it. However, I couldn't see the whole video, and so I understand why. And so I went searching, and I'm like, "Where's her name? Where is her name?" And I literally start digging, and I started following your story. And so said I'm gonna reach out and I'm gonna see if I can bring her on the podcast because I believe that she has a story that'll help people. So thank you again. Um, to our audience, I know that today was really deep, um, but I pray that it helped you. And if you're in a domestic violence situation, I pray that you get out. I pray that you know that you're not alone and that you can speak out, reach out for help. Paige, as she says, she does check her inboxes, she responds. Please don't live in silence. It's so many people that didn't make it because of a DV situation, but you are not alone. Please share this video, like, share, comment, and if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. And remember that it's only pain until you discover your purpose and start your healing journey. And we'll see you next time.